Darkness is an arcane spell, see?
Technically, it's, first of all, it's tradition, and it's arcane, divine, occult, and primal.
I didn't say...
You don't say it's an arcane spell, it's an arcane tradition.
Like, it is a spell.
The correct...
And it is an arcane spell.
The correct words are very important. Yes, you're right. Correct words are correct.
God. I know this is a bit, but you just made me want to leave.
Hi everyone, welcome to GameGorgon. My name's Jake.
And I'm Krug.
And today we're going to be talking about the Investigator, Pathfinder 2nd Edition Playtest, a new class, possibly.
Guaranteed that it's going to come out, but it might be completely different to the point where this video is meaningless. Grain of salt, playtest material. Speaking of playtest material, keep in mind that we are not going over every single thing that this class has to offer. We are only going over the bits of the class that define the flavor of the overall class. We aren't going to touch everything. We're going to do that kind of video when the actual class comes out. For now, we just want to get a feel for what it means to be an investigator.
Well, I actually don't know if that's true or not. And the reason I say that is I'm gonna go into the comments. Hey, I really like the new format. You guys should stick to this format more often instead of every single level.
I'm okay with that. I'm not doing any holographic display.
No, I wasn't.
Not
That was just me just like...
I agree with the root of your point, but...
Help us figure this out.
Yes.
If this is a format that you would prefer once these classes officially come out, and future classes, if you would like us to continue doing that, let us know down in the comments.
Just tell us anything you want in the comments.
Now that we've done all of the scummy YouTube stuff, why don't we go into the actual class itself?
Let's. So I think the Investigator is one of the easiest classes to understand the flavor for. It's just Sherlock Holmes.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Your key stat's gonna be int because you are gathering clues and investigating things. When you do fight in combat, which you can do, it is one of the flavors that I'm most into because your entire combat strength comes from analyzing your opponents. You broke your left arm because of the way that your left arm is moving differently than your right arm is, and that means that when you swing from this direction, it's going to be weaker, and so I can duck and stab you because you're smart and you can just see 3 moves ahead.
One of the things that was said a lot to us on the Batman build video was that, oh, you know what will be so much better is the Investigator as the base class.
Yes.
Is that, now that you've gone through this, do you agree with that?
It is 100% a component, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
If not the base, if there was an Investigator archetype, we'd go into it.
For skills, you're going to be trained in society, and then you're going to be trained in one other skill based off of your Investigator field that you choose. It's the same as like a rogue kind of a thing.
Rogue ragged, yeah, it's your level 1 choice.
You're also going to have 6 plus your intelligence modifiers for skills.
Pretty good.
Especially since you're going to be an int-based class, so you're starting with 10.
Yep.
No,
so it's
10, 11, 12 if you count those 2, plus your background. Yeah, you got a lot.
You got a lot. You're a skill monkey. Like, Rogue is a skill monkey. You're on par with Rogue, especially when we get into the class features. Like, For health, you get 8 plus con. For weapons, you get simple weapons, unarmed attacks, and you also get a list of weapons, which is on the screen, but I'm gonna call out one exceptional case. Sword cane? That's awesome. If you could think of something that's more Sherlock Holmesy in flavor, you're probably wrong.
Your perception is going to be expert, and you're going to be trained in light armor and unarmored for defense.
Yeah. So first we're gonna go over the class features. Level 1 is super heavy, so bear with us. We're gonna be at level 1 for basically the rest of the video. The first thing we're gonna talk about is on the case. This is a feature that's gonna grant you an action and an activity that you can do. Take a case and clue in. So first, take a case. You identify one small thing that you are investigating. Small is the wrong word. One specific thing that you're investigating. A specific individual or a specific object or a specific small settlement or town or something like that.
So a noun.
Yeah, you define a noun. So when you attempt a check to investigate that subject, you're gonna get a +1 circumstance bonus.
Okay.
Now those checks are technically up to GM interpretation, but like the general rule of thumb is like, is it using a mental stat? That's probably okay. If it's recall knowledge, it's almost objectively 100% okay all the time. Sure. Right? In the book, rules is written, it does say GM gets to interpret this as they see fit.
Understandable.
So with the scope of the investigation, the GM can widen or narrow the scope based on the context.
Okay.
So this is like a really heavy thing that you have to work with your GM about. Class feature-wise, you can kind of remove the GM from it more and more up till when you get to level 20, you can basically just remove the GM from it completely.
You get to GM the game.
You get to GM the game.
If you choose this subclass, you become the GM by level 20.
You can only have one case at a time. That's important.
Okay.
If you take a new case, obviously your old case goes away. You can't take a case that is related to your old case, or to be clear, you can't take a case that your character thinks is related to your old case until your next prep.
The next part of this is going to be clue in. So if another person in your party is investigating something, let's just say the king, and you're investigating the king as well.
Yeah,
that's
he's the target of your investigation.
Yeah, exactly. If that person is making a recall knowledge on that king, you can actually give them a +1 bonus, and that number is going to increase over time.
Yeah, it's good because you can help them if they are better at society, for example, than you are. Even though they're probably not, because you have so many skills. But in the off chance that somebody is better at something than you are, you can be like, basically you're starting them down the right path, and then they take their knowledge of the specific subject and get a higher roll.
But think about all of the lore checks as well, right?
Yeah.
Like think of Court of Corvids, right? We had Knick-Knack who had architecture lore, right? So if someone was going, okay, my investigation piece is going to be on a specific building, or like trying to find where this one place is, or where the hidden place would be, and Knick-Knack goes, okay, well, I have no lore in architecture, you could have given them a +1.
Yeah.
Also, that sweet Court of Corvids plug.
Oh, snap!
Pro YouTubers.
That was just the first class feature, technically. The next thing is Study Suspect. This is going to cost you 1 action, but if the target that you're studying is also the target of your investigation, free action instead.
Okay.
You're going to be able to do this once per round, and you're going to make a perception check against your target's will DC. If you succeed, you get a +1 circumstance bonus against your next attack against that creature this turn. And if you critically succeed, you're going to gain a +1 circumstance bonus against that creature for all of your attacks until the end of the turn. So there's no failure effect, which is awesome. If it's the target of your investigation, free action +1 to attack. How could you complain? Also, your perception's great.
And this is all one thing.
Yeah. That's like, this is so much. We just talked about Study Suspect, which gained a benefit from your investigation.
Yes.
And then now we're talking about Studied Strike, which is going to gain a benefit if you are benefiting from Study Suspect. So this is a 3-tier like proc benefit chain type thing.
Okay.
So if you're benefiting from Study Suspect, you're going to deal an additional 1d6 precision damage to the target if you hit them.
Okay.
There are a couple restrictions as to the weapon type that you're using, so it has to be agile, finesse, or a sap, or you have to be using a weapon that your character is good with. Also, this damage is going to go up by 1 at 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th level, which, you know, at level 17, that gives you 5d6 extra damage just for gaining a +1 to hit something.
Sure.
So that's like, I don't know, that's pretty good. And you get this for free.
It sounds really good, and it's a lot of information. The caveat, the trade-off that they're trying to do is that this isn't against just anyone.
Sure.
It's very situational. Yes, you're getting a crap ton of stuff in this very, very, very specific
It's almost like Hunt Target. Mark Target? Hunter's, what is it called? I keep wanting to say Hunter's Mark, but that's Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I'm talking about? The Ranger feature?
You said it first.
Is it Hunt Target?
I think it's so.
I should be
now
none of us know.
Now I am less confident about it since you named 13 other things.
Sorry. You have to prepare for the situation, which it's an int-based character. It makes sense that preparation would be a part of its like playstyle.
Also at level 1, you're going to get methodology, which is basically your rogue's racket, right?
Yep.
This is, you're going to be choosing a speciality in which you investigate in.
Yeah.
All of them are going to grant you a trained skill,
Correct.
a feat, and an action.
Yeah, something else.
A
third thing.
A thing.
The first methodology is going to be alchemical sciences. This is like the alchemist subtype, basically. Do you have your interest?
So no, you're encroaching my territory, so I'm ready to go 10 toes against an investigator.
It's not as good as alchemist. You'll be fine.
Okay.
So you're going to be trained in crafting.
Yep.
Duh.
Well.
You're going to get the alchemical crafting feat, general feat, I think.
Yep.
Learn 2 level 1 elixirs specifically. And then you're going to gain the ability to craft what are called versatile vials, inert bases of an elixir.
Okay.
So that you can basically use a quick alchemy-esque feature called quick tincture that allows you to turn those vials into elixirs for the cost of 1 action, but they expire at the end of your current turn. It's like a dumbed down version of quick alchemy that the investigator gets to use if they pick this methodology.
The only difference is that it has to be an elixir.
Right. So you can still like prep, craft like bombs and every mutagens and whatever. If you want to make elixirs, you can do it spontaneously in a very limited sense. And you get a number of versatile vials equal to your int mod. So you end up with like 5 or 6 or something like that if you can manage it.
It seemed very healy because immediately my brain goes to Elixir of Life.
Yeah.
You know?
And this character does seem supporty once we go through all of the specializations, but they are also like, there's support / skill monkey as opposed to rogue, which is like DPS / skill monkey.
Sure.
Right?
We're going to narrow this down
to most of the skills.
Fucking, okay. Next is going to be empiricism. You're the Sith of investigators. So you're going to be trained in any intelligence-based skill. So you get to pick one. It's not that all intelligence ones, you're just like, I get to be trained.
No, you pick one of them.
Yes, you get picked in one. You also gain the on-the-scene investigator feat, which is right here on the screen. And I'm going to give a little bit of time so you can read it, but I'm going to talk a little bit so it's not boring. You're going to gain Observe Expeditiously, a free action, and you can do it once every 10 minutes. You can sink or... Sink?
You can sink. You can just drown in some water.
You're the Titanic for free. Congratulations. Seek or sense motive for free. It is the least combative, but it could be very good if you're in a very social side of a Pathfinder game.
The last methodology is going to be forensic medicine. You are trained in, guess what? Medicine.
Damn.
You're trained in medicine.
I thought you were going to say acrobatic.
You're going to get the battle medicine feat for free. You're also going to get forensic acumen for free, which is a new skill feat in the playtest. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the playtest adds skill feats.
Something that we've been complaining about that we don't have nearly enough of.
Oop. And lastly, if you use battle medicine on a target and you succeed, that target is going to gain additional health equal to your level, and they're only going to become immune to your battle medicine for an hour instead of a day. I feel like this one's a little stacked. 2 feats that are both super useful, and oh, by the way, battle medicine's stronger for you than anybody else. Oh, and by the way, you get medicine training for free. Still on level 1.
Well, I mean, I think that's the last level 1 thing, isn't it, though?
You'd be wrong.
I'd be wrong? Well, then your notes are wrong.
Oh, that's the last level 1 thing.
At level 3, you're going to get Keen Recollection, which is going to allow you to use your level for the proficiency bonus for all untrained skills.
Untrained recall knowledge.
Yes, recall knowledge, because it's called Keen Recollection.
Yeah, see?
At level 11, you're going to be able to make any attempt at any skill that requires you to be trained in, untrained. Mind you, at this point, you're probably trained in all of them.
I mean, most of them. Most of them, yeah.
You know, like, you're like,
you have a lot of skills that you can be trained in.
Exactly. But still, the few that you don't have, you can now do untrained and use your level as your proficiency for them.
It basically lowers the requirement of using an action by 1. Mm-hmm. So if it required trained, you can do it untrained. If it required expert, you can do it trained. If it required mastered, you can do it expert. It does not modify legendary.
Until level 19, which you can attempt legendary actions.
Then you can do that.
Yeah, which is freaking huge.
Yeah.
Does that mean that if you're, like, it requires mastery to get a feat?
It doesn't function as a prerequisite as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Although, to be honest, I think it would be nice for them to specify whether or not it does.
Sure.
I think it would make more sense to see that written out, because at the very least, people who like do a cursory read of the book would be inclined to pick one of those kind of reflexively.
Sure.
And I think some people might.
They're like, oh, okay, well, no, because I have that skill feat at level 11, then I can do this.
Yeah, it's not functioning as though you had that level. At level 13, and I know we said we wouldn't talk about this, but I'm gonna just throw this one in there. Level 13, you get legendary perception, which is good. Perception is very common. Level 13 is low for a legendary.
I would almost say it is the most used skill next to swing.
What?
Swing. With
strike. Swing.
Yeah, swing.
Perception is strong.
Yeah. At level 19, you're going to get Master Detective, which is going to remove the 10-minute requirement, or the 10-minute limit for how often you can use Clue In.
Now, Clue In is still a reaction,
yes.
So it's limited by the fact that you have 1 reaction per round, so technically once every 6 seconds is your new thing, limitation, but makes it way stronger.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is when it had the like minimum of 10 minutes, that means you got 1 per combat.
Right.
But now you get 1 per round.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Next, we're going to talk about Investigator feats. I picked 3. I picked a low level one, I picked a medium level one, and I picked a Capstone because, oh my god, the Capstone here is so hilarious and I think really good.
Okay.
I actually think it's overpowered.
Okay.
I genuinely do. This is me teasing you. We mentioned that we're good YouTubers, and this is what good YouTubers do. Get used to it.
We would be better YouTubers if we put that section of the video in
At
the very beginning of it.
and then made the thumbnail have a red arrow pointing at nothing.
Oh yeah, and both of us went, GameGorgon at 3 a.m. challenge failed. No clickbait.
Okay, so Investigator feats. Level 1, one of your options is called Flexible Studies. While you're prepping, you're gonna just cram about a subject, and you're gonna be able to go from untrained to trained in any one thing. Now, this is supported by your class features. That means that you can use expert level actions for that skill. And you get to just pick one spontaneously. So you can go back and forth, one day you're going into a mine, so you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna become trained in mining lore or something. There's so much there that you could just tailor yourself for a specific situation, and I love that. Okay, but you have to know what's happening next. You have to look ahead. And I didn't write this in the notes, but there is a feature that lets you, it's a high level feature, but it basically lets you use divination magic, but just because you're smart, and just ask the GM, what are the chances of this thing happening within the next week? And the GM says likely, unlikely.
This is cool.
Yeah, and then remember level 1.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty decent level 1.
Yeah.
Do you get a skill feat or class feature at level 1? Because
Ye-
it is a martial
Yeah.
class, so you are getting that level 1.
Jesus Christ. I'm very worried that I'm getting this wrong, but I think you do.
It is right there.
Okay, level 8. This is called Clue Them All In. I put this in here because I have an issue with it.
Okay.
So,
I chose this one because I hate it.
No. I just think it's weird. Okay, so Clue Them In, the idea behind it is one of your buddies is making a check.
Okay.
And you are saying, oh, hey, just know that I learned this thing about the subject. No.
Actually.
Clue them all in. If your group is making a check, you can give them all that piece of information.
Okay.
That's weird because why could you not just do that before you're just speaking a piece of information out loud? This is allowing everybody to listen to the one thing you're saying? I don't know. I don't know how this works roleplay wise.
Yeah, because most of the time it's just I relay that information. When the GM's this.
Yeah.
I relay all of that information to the party.
Yep.
It kind of seems like just a hand wave.
It's like when you're cluing them in, it's almost as if you're and then the rest of your party's can you tell us that? And you're like, no. And then for some reason your ally's also no. What is that?
This is my legitimate thinking about this face.
Uh-huh.
It's
I was thinking about it in the car on the way here, so.
I want to know what you think about it.
I would
Down
also
in the
like
comments because we're pro YouTubers.
And also because we like role-playing games, and if I understand this, it will help me feel less bad about myself.
Are we doing it wrong? Answer, yes.
Level 20 is the most pretentious capstone in the whole game.
Is this something else you hate, or?
No, I love it.
Okay.
This is borderline OP, in my opinion. It's called Infallible Research. I'm gonna read you the flavor text because it will give you an idea of where this is going.
Okay.
You fundamentally understand everything, to the point where your research can't possibly be wrong.
I would like to point out the flavor text does not say everything. It just says everything.
So, first thing, you're permanently quickened, but the extra action that you gain from being quickened can only be used to recall knowledge.
Okay.
That's good by itself.
Okay.
The second thing, and this is almost breaking the fourth wall, your recall knowledge checks are no longer secret. This is not the way that we play specifically, but rules as written, they are.
Yep.
And now they become not. For just you, the one character in the group, you get to know those roles. When you recall knowledge, and this is the only time I've ever seen this written this way in the book, you get 1 degree of success better than you actually rolled.
So it's not just if you roll a success is considered a critical. This is just flat. If it's a critical failure, it's a failure. If it's a failure, it's a success. If it's a success, it's a critical success. If it's a critical success, you're the GM.
No, not that last one. Not that last one. Everything else was correct. Not that last one. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
That's still not all. If a feature were to give you inaccurate information, and they use an example in the book and I forgot what it was called, but there's a background feature that says that you have dreams or something, and
you know what I mean? You can get dubious pieces of information.
Yeah. That'll be on the screen because I'm sorry I don't remember what it's called right now. But even if you get misinformation from that kind of feature, you still know whether or not it's wrong. So basically the GM cannot lie to you.
They could just not tell you the information.
That's true. No, and that's completely different. That's this information is not available to you.
Interesting.
But if they cannot give you false information.
Well, they could give you false information, but then turn around and say, you know that that's not true.
Correct. Yeah. They can give you false information, but then they immediately tell you that's false information.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
But that could easily lead to some really interesting, like, RP wise, because it's like you have a dream, and you see the purple tendrils of an elder god wrapping itself around the world and ripping it into two.
Yeah.
You could just be like, it ripping the world isn't true, right? But then you turn around and be like, oh, but hold on. The purple tentacles are true.
Oh, I see. So you could like fudge it and like make it interesting.
Yeah.
You don't know how it's not wrong, right?
Yeah.
How it is wrong.
You don't know
you just know that it is wrong.
Yeah, you don't know that there is what the correct answer is, because there could be 50 different options, right?
I know that string theory does not have to do with strings like pieces of twine, but I can't explain to you what string theory is or how it works or what it means for the world.
I think that there's some fun ways that you can do this. And the other thing is, like, specifically in this instance that we're talking about, is you've had to then take a background, take the investigator, and then level the level 20 to then use this feature for the GM to
exactly. So this is like a capstone for the specific reason that, like, once you get this, the game's over, basically.
Yeah.
But hey, guess what? That's still not everything. I think this is where it might get frustrating for GMs.
Okay.
So if another character in your group, or another character period, tells you information that is incorrect, you know that it's incorrect. Like, another character rolls a critical fail on a recall knowledge, and they say, I'm positive that this is XYZ, you could just be like, that's not true.
I think it makes your job more difficult.
Yes.
But I think at that point you're running a level 20 campaign.
Yes.
Your life is already difficult.
True. And again, I'm saying borderline OP. I guess what I really meant to say is, like, this is strong in a way that I have not seen before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As a GM, you'll have to be significantly more creative about that.
Yeah. I don't want to imply that it's a bad thing.
No.
Even though I think I may have sounded a bit negative about it previously.
He's just a little negative Nancy.
Well, apparently I'm a little negative Nancy.
Is that Nancy's voice?
I'm Nancy. All right, everybody, head down to the comments. Let us know what you thought of the Investigator. Let us know what you think about the level 20. Let us know how you as a GM would treat the level 20. Let us know if you think it's like, if it's difficult for new GMs to play with. I mean, level 20 is difficult for new GMs to begin with. Just tell us what you think about the level 20 down there.
That, and it also helps us know that you reached the end of the video.
That's true. Also, same thing as that we said at the beginning of the video. If you want to let us know about suggestions you have for build guides so that we can try and make them, that would be awesome, because we want to get back into those. I think we're both excited.
Yes, we're very, like, I even, like, was pushing myself to try and make a build video for this, and I was like, no, they take more time. I need to, like, sit down and research and put it together. And I was like, no, don't rush it. And then I was like, we're just going to talk about it anyways. We might as well just wait until then.
Absolutely. Do that, head down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to help us grow big and strong. But
only do that if you haven't hit the subscribe button already.
Correct. Don't do it a second time.
Yeah.
That helps our channel become weak and frail. And don't hit the bell icon unless you want a notification whenever we post literally anything on this channel, which you might want, but you probably don't.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it. And once you're done with all that, you can reach out to us on these things. There's all these social media things down here. One of them is a Discord where we talk. It's like free and we talk about stuff. We play games sometimes. We also have a Patreon. And in the Patreon, if you would like to generously give us $5 and like only one time, if you want to keep giving us $5, that's fine. Give us as many $5 as you want. But if you just give us one $5, you will get access to our RP Discord server, different server, just for role playing.
We actually set different goals for the RP server. So sometimes it's like, hey, get X amount of people to join the Discord server, which is like, I usually just try to do like small numbers. So it's not like, try to get us to 1 million. No, it's just like, hey, like we have 7 people. Let's get to 10.
Sure.
You know, like let's just try to get these. Or sometimes it will be like, hey, let's try to hit this many messages by the end of the month. And when we hit these different goals for the server, what we turn around and do is we actually reward the server for a couple of different things. One, we give extra XP at the end of the month. We also do different interactions that are separate. So the server ended up hitting their first goal last month, And they got 2 things. They got extra XP at the end of the month. They also got to meet the big bad before any of the players did on Court of Corvids. So they actually went in, met Jim from Court of Corvids, got to interact with him for a little bit.
Didn't kill him for us, assholes.
They would have died. Got to interact with Jim, and then there were aspects of the game that actually reflected events that happened on the server, and then the server actually took and did different events that affected the game. And something that you had mentioned, I don't remember if it was on screen or not, is that you actually enjoyed the way that we did it.
Yes, I thought that this was going, I don't remember if I mentioned this on screen either, but I thought, I was worried that it was going to feel hacky. It was going to feel like forced in there because we hadn't done it before. I didn't know how the fuck he was, like, the whole thing is here and like on his computer. I don't know anything about the world. I don't know what he's planning, and I don't want to because I'm playing the game. So once he started reading it, I was like, oh, this is a thing from Discord, right? And then like when he said Soren, I was like, oh, this is a thing from Discord. And he read it, and one, great letter, first of all, like kudos to the way you wrote that. And then 2, didn't feel forced at all. Didn't feel like it was like an obligation. It felt like it added a lot to the plot for me as a player. And I was like, oh, this is fucking great. And hopefully the people watching thought it added to the story. Just like that little bit of extra like, oh, this guy's fucking insane.
The goal is to make this interesting connection between these 2 things because they are canonical with each other, right?
Yeah.
They're both happening at the same time. The idea is that it's not a constant, right? It's not like everything that happens over on the Discord server has to affect this.
Yeah.
Because it's like in real world, like the actions in which you take don't necessarily affect
2 random groups of people don't always interact, but when they do, interesting.
Yeah, and so the idea behind all of that is just to make a really fun Discord server where people can RP all day long. They can, and it's actually happening all day long. There's different groups. I GM a lot of it, so I'll come in and actually play different NPCs so that they can get different information. Right now, they're trying to solve a murder that's going on in town. Yeah, so
was it Krug?
No, but there.
Oh God.
I'm just saying there is definitely a person who saved your life that's on that Discord server that is expecting you to get on to punch him in the face.
Yeah, incoming video about the importance of hero points. Suffice it to say.
I think that was a long enough outro. All right, everyone. Bye.